CyberHub bunker and studio. You're listening to the CISO Talk Podcast. No sales, no bullshit, just straight talk. Straight talk. And now for your host and CISO, James Azar.
Happy Friday, everyone. Happy Friday. So impromptu, again, just last Friday we did this, and today I was sitting around last night and I was talking to Renee and Chris and a few other people, and I was like, my life's been so much better because I actually quit Twitter like a little over a month ago. And I did the survey yesterday about what happens if the internet's cut off, like what's going on in Myanmar and what's happened in Hong Kong and other places around the world, Russia and so forth. And I was like, hey, I wonder what would happen. So I quit it. So I'm wondering, kind of decided to come on and talk to you guys and kind of share a thought about has any of you quit social media? If you have, comment. I want to actually know what you guys have to say. On it, I quit Twitter 30 days ago. Can't complain. My life's been a lot better since. So for people who will fact check this, CyberHub Podcast still has a Twitter page. James Azar no longer has a Twitter page. I don't. And I don't even go into the CyberHub Podcast page. I have someone who manages it. We do scheduled posts. That's just the truth. We don't stream on Twitter. I've decided not to stream there. I stream on Facebook. I quit WhatsApp too, which was very, very weird. So for those who don't know, like in the US, we use a little bit of WhatsApp, but we don't use a lot of WhatsApp because we just text normal, or we use Slack or Discord, especially in the cyber community. Like no one really uses WhatsApp. But in Israel, like among friends and family abroad, not just Israel, but like, in the UAE and in Europe, and I have friends in Africa and Asia, like they all use WhatsApp. Like WhatsApp is the thing. And so I deleted it. And man, my life has completely been transformed. Suresh says you quit WhatsApp as well, but need Twitter for the latest Infosec updates. See, I thought the same thing, Suresh. I actually thought I needed Twitter for Infosec updates. I just went to Reddit and I have everything on Reddit, and I just follow the cybersecurity subthread on Reddit, and it has everything Twitter has without all the BS that Twitter brings with it, like without all the trending hashtags and, all the other stuff there. Abuid says, I'm still on social media, but mainly LinkedIn. LinkedIn's been my safe space. So for like the last year, LinkedIn, where I am right now, has been my safe space. It's the one place I go and I don't have to, kind of get sucked into any of that. I'm just there. I'm there. And I like it. I love LinkedIn. And I'm grateful that LinkedIn's around, because all other social media networks are very, I don't want to say broken, but very disjointed. Hey, Nora, good morning. Friday. I love Fridays. So I love Fridays for a lot of reasons. One of which, by the way, kind of give you a little clue. I'll tell you this. So I quit most social media. So I still have a personal Facebook page, but the only reason I do is simply because it's used for the business accounts. And like, I'm trying to figure out, could I still have my business accounts on Facebook and Instagram without having a real page on Facebook? But I don't post. I like do some stories here and there, predominantly promoting the podcast and nothing else. Like I don't share much about my life on social media at all, but LinkedIn. So like I'm really an open book on LinkedIn. Like if you really want to know who I am what I am on LinkedIn. You don't have to go to any other social media. Hey, Joel, good morning. How's it going? Hey, Michelle. I'm assuming you agree with the fact that social media is like, I'm telling you, like I was talking about WhatsApp a second ago. This is so impromptu. I have no notes, no nothing. So excuse me if I'm going all over the place, but I want to react to your comments right away, because I feel like that's really kind of the beauty of this is I was doing a Clubhouse room this morning as well. And it was the same thing. Like we're all over the place. Like we had a topic and we ended up going all over the place. But whatever. That's the beauty of these impromptus. It's not an overproduced, overly planned kind of thing, but we're people and we want to talk, and there's topics topics and things that people talk about, and whatever. But so I quit WhatsApp. So for a lot of people who interact with me internationally, they're like, James, you're not on WhatsApp anymore. How do I get you? Like, how do I get a hold of you? I was like, Signal, Telegram, normal text messaging, FaceTime. I use FaceTime a lot more than ever before. And, I don't mind because, Apple's a hardware company, not a software company per se. So they're not looking to collect my data. Joel, you agree about social media. I agree as well. And Michelle says I use Facebook for group communication and stuff like Fat Tire Bag Club. Yeah, I use Facebook for, funny enough, the Jewish Dads of Atlanta, they're going to get a shout out. The Jewish Dads of Atlanta is like my group on Facebook. It's the only thing I use Facebook for, to kind of get recommendations if I need anything or whatnot. But most of the time, it's just dead space for me there. Nora, I love Fridays too because it's the Sabbath preparation day. It is like, I stop working in a few hours from now. And at 1 p.m., I just turn everything down. By 5, my phone's off. And the next day, I'm just in and about my day, really going about my day. And I enjoy the Sabbath because I'm off my devices. Like everything is shut off. I don't turn on my computers. I don't turn on my phones, nothing. I'm with my wife, who I love spending the Sabbath with, and we just spend time, and, we'll hang out, we'll talk, we'll go for walks. It's fun. It's nice. Yeah, I get it. I don't want to have to keep, like, personal emails is another thing, right? But I quit that. I mean, I haven't quit personal emails. I've quit Twitter. And by the way, my life's so much better. Like, so much better. So much better. Getting out of echo chambers and like moving out to where you don't have that is unbelievable. What was interesting is when I did this last weekend, we talked about browsers, right? And, we were having this conversation around browsers, and 60 some odd % of people in the survey that ended this week said that they use Chrome. And I was like, we're security and privacy folks. So why are we using like Chrome? And I was reading an interview this morning from the CEO of Waze, the former CEO of Waze, the navigation app. And they're an Israeli startup, and they got bought out by Google for like $1.2 billion at the time, which was like a humongous exit. That's like 10 years ago, not in today's like economy. And he's talking about the culture at Google in the interview, and he talked about one of the aspects that people care more about their benefits there than they do about the product. And he shared some like really insightful things. Now the article's in Hebrew, so I wanted to share it. I would have linked it if I could, but it's in Hebrew, and I don't think anyone who's watching right now reads Hebrew, although we could translate it, and it is what it is. But yeah, that's very like kind of this whole thing. But it's really fascinating, like the whole idea of social media and how social media kind of came about, and what people kind of how we got really attached to social media. Now, as we slowly kind of, it's like we were the generation of experiments on social media. The generation of experiments when it comes to, we were presented with these phones and the apps that are on these phones, and so forth, and these apps and these phones. And we were like, wow, this is amazing. And we got sucked into this technology. And now we have all the warning signs, right? It's kind of like smoking. Like, no one knew cigarettes were bad at the very beginning. People were like, it's tobacco, it's a plant, light it up, we smoke it, it's nice, it's relaxing. Okay, and people started smoking, then side effects started showing up. Then the companies that produce cigarettes were like, that's not us, that's you. we're not to blame for it. And then it took a lot of scientific research and a lot of lobbying and people outcries to get cigarettes with warning labels on them. I'm not judging you if you smoke, okay? So just to be clear, but it feels like social media was the same thing. When it first came out, we're like, oh, this is wonderful. This is great. We don't have a town square. We don't have anything anymore. We're all, cigarettes was a cool thing to do at the time. And social media was like the thing. And we all started using it without any moderation. We just dug in and we're like, oh, wow. And we sunk deeper and deeper in the hole. And we became so addicted that when we'd walk away from it, we'd feel like, I wonder what's happening on Twitter. I wonder what's trending on Twitter. And that's really, really fascinating. Michelle says we're all addicted. Yeah, I agree. Most people are, but we're starting to kind of find that moderation. And it's coming from us, like with our kids, right? Like we're limiting our kids with screen times. We're limiting their time on specific apps. We're doing all these different things. And that's because we're starting to understand that moderation of social media. And so it took a large human experiment on social media to realize the good and the bad of it. We saw a lot of the good that came out of social media early on, right? Like we connected with people who we've lost touch with over the years. We've made new friends who otherwise we would have never met because of social media. Like we can't take that away. But at the same time, it became a very toxic environment for a lot of people. And it became something very addicting where we didn't know how to act. Like think pre-COVID, right? Think of like pre-COVID and going to an event like RSA. And you'd walk around the floor and there'd be people talking here and there, right? Getting to know each other, kind of hearing a pitch about what a specific company does or, what a solution or answering some questions. And everyone else is on their phones, looking at social media, tweeting on Slack, on LinkedIn, looking at their calendar, answering emails. And people stopped interacting. And now we're seeing the reverse effect, right? So we're all on Zoom and we're trying to multitask, right? Like I've got multiple screens around me and I'm reading and seeing things as they come along, but that's crazy. So Joel says, for those that have veteran backgrounds, I feel like social media is equivalent of the good idea fair. Yeah, it is. It's kind of like, it's a really good, listen, social media is really good. It's good. It has some aspects of good, but in moderation. And I think moderation is the key. It's like Chick-fil-A, most delicious sandwich on the planet, bar none, best chicken on planet Earth is Chick-fil-A. Some people disagree with me, but you're going to have to convince me otherwise. But in moderation, if you ate Chick-fil-A every day, you'd probably be like 300 pounds, have high cholesterol and diabetic and all kinds of things. So it's moderation, and we need moderation of social media. Bruce says people think this is how you get your news now and they believe it. Yeah, some people look at social media and think that a blue check mark equals news. And yeah, here's the thing. The internet and social media revolutionized the way we got information and spread information, right? Like think of Tim Pool. Like I love Tim Pool, but Tim Pool without Occupy Wall Street movement and without social media, without him being like one of the first people to go live and do what I'm doing now a decade ago, wouldn't have been about anything. Like we wouldn't know who Tim Pool is. But Tim Pool's awesome. Like he's a great dude, but it's just that he became a news source competing with the news monopolies, and the news monopolies and the clickbait and the internet and the killing of the newspaper industry. All of that has impacted this whole idea of news. Michelle says, I believe COVID has exacerbated the problem. Look at the billions on TikTok. Yeah, I mean, TikTok is crazy. Absolutely. But we'll see. Yeah, it's all about, getting followers and money. Yeah, people do outrageous stuff for that kind of stuff and influencing. Absolutely, we see that. And the thing about it is brands no longer know how to isolate the brand on social media from everything else around it. Everything's become kind of like intertwined within each other. So you've got it used to be that business was business. And that's what I love about LinkedIn. LinkedIn, talking to a lot of you guys who are watching us now on LinkedIn, like, we're us. We are who we are. We're talking, but we don't get into, like, no one here is going to post, for the most part, anything political or cultural. We're all about promoting our professional careers and our professional network. And we're all about kind of spreading ideas, no matter who it is. And brands with TikTok and Instagram and Snapchat and influencers have started to become almost like involved too much in culture and politics. And it's created these parallel economies. And that's one thing that I love about quitting Twitter and WhatsApp. I no longer have all that noise. I don't have it. That noise doesn't exist at all. It doesn't. It's not there. Like, quitting Twitter was the best thing for me, because I used to scroll for, like, sometimes you start a scroll and you go through hours and hours of stuff. And that's crazy. And now, like, I don't have that. I'm just on here. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm interacting. It's professional. It's awesome. And Michelle says that's why she loves LinkedIn. That's why I love LinkedIn too. Like, I really do. Like, I'm grateful to LinkedIn for being LinkedIn and trying to keep a lot of that junk out. And people who did post it were, like, bombarded with, like, hey, this is a professional network. Keep the stuff outside, right? Like, just keep it outside. Like, I realize that there's craziness there, but yeah, Nora says here, doing anything in an addictive way becomes a form of idle. Moderation needs to be considered. Absolutely, moderation is critical to everything, Nora. You're absolutely right. Like, don't get into something too much, because you got to moderate it. One thing I will tell you, if you have an iPhone and you use screen time with your kids or little ones, whether it be your kids or nephews, nieces, brothers, sisters, whatever, do the same for you. So look at your day and say, I'm spending really a lot of time on my phone on this one app, and it's really impacting my productivity. And block that app. Like, set a time limit between hours. You can do that on screen time on your iPhone. Like, there's so many great features in there that Apple put from an idea of moderation that it's really, really critical. So Daniel here says, LinkedIn, WhatsApp is the only social media I use. It's been that way for about 3 years. WhatsApp for me is just pure day-to-day comms with family and friends. I don't like the negative effect social media had on me and people close to me. You'd believe everyone had the perfect life after a day on Instagram. Yeah, I totally agree with that. I know that a lot of people who quit Instagram, like, I quit WhatsApp because of privacy issues. Like, I was concerned with the privacy aspect. And I know that Facebook kind of said, well, we're going to revisit this in May, but I don't believe them. Like, I really don't. I'm not trying to be, negative in that aspect, but I just believe that once they had this idea, they're going to go through with it. They're just going to let things quiet down and then slowly do it. So if they were going to do it all at once, they may do one change here with an update, another change with another update, and they'll do a bunch of updates between now and May, and then you're there. And that was my concern with WhatsApp, and that's why I was just like, I'm done. I mean, I'm on a board for several organizations where WhatsApp was where all board members communicated. And I was like, well, I guess you're going to have to revert to either email, or we're going to create a new group somewhere else, or we just use a group in normal messaging. But I can't, I won't do it any other way here. Just a moment here. We have a LinkedIn user, and I want to see who that is. So give me just a moment. I want to see who this comment is from, but he goes, quit Twitter, Facebook, best thing that happened to me. Actually talk to friends and family. Yeah, I totally agree with that. I want to see who this is though. Because you're a LinkedIn user on here. That's the one aspect of LinkedIn. They take privacy seriously, which I really do enjoy. Because that's really important here as I pull this up. But yeah, Daniel, I completely agree. I love LinkedIn. Again, my reason for quitting WhatsApp, I just said, I quit Twitter, Facebook, best thing. Yeah, I totally agree. And I want to know who that is. So you guys are going to give me just a second here while I pull this up. Oh, now you guys are going to hear it. Oh, Sergile, Daniel Sergile. What's up, Daniel? Good morning, buddy. But yeah, I actually talked to you on text messaging. Sergio. So that's the way to do it. That's the best thing out there. So yeah, it's weird to see myself on two screens talking. That's super, super weird. But that's the beauty of like live streaming all by yourself, like post COVID, all that good stuff. So yeah, it's very, very kind of like social media is just fascinating as hell. Fascinating. The addiction, the way people interact, the stuff that people say on social media to me is by far the most shocking. Stuff that was trending a few days ago. I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about the stuff that was trending the day Rush Limbaugh died. And I was just like, wow, like that's evil. Like the guy died. Can we just, like, you don't have to like someone. If they passed away, just tell them, rest in peace and move on, right? Like move on. Like the person's dead. But that was like, that's the reason I quit Twitter. It got to that point where I just felt like, wow, like I'm seeing the worst of humanity and I don't want to see that. Like I want to believe that most people are good. That's what I want to believe. And I was having a hard time seeing that on these social media platforms. And so that was very like awkward for me at the time, just seeing that and kind of going about it. But Joel here says social media feeds trolls. It brings the evil out of people. No, Joel, here's where I'll disagree with you. Trolls exist because there's like no repercussion. And they can be anonymized behind their trolling. And as long as the trolling is done within a group of people, it's harder to stop. It's awkward, but it trolling does bring evil out of people. LinkedIn is best. It takes people with a business and they need to use it. Absolutely. Nora Boot says, I need to learn how to go live. I'm sure there is a video on YouTube on how to do it. There is. And with LinkedIn, you have to apply to be part of LinkedIn Live. So you actually have to apply. If you go to LinkedIn and you just search, how do I go live on LinkedIn, you'll be able to see that. And you apply and you say why you want to go live. Their review, it takes them a few days and then you're either approved or they tell you, they decline it. I think LinkedIn's kind of like trying to keep live, not to every single person. I don't know if it's an exclusive club or not, like Clubhouse, but it is that. By the way, I've got some Clubhouse invites. So if you want a Clubhouse invite and you're on iOS, because that's the only way to get on Clubhouse, DM me personally, send me your phone number. I'll add you and send you an invite. I've got a few invites left, and Clubhouse keeps giving me invites every time I open a room to invite more people. So I've got a few Clubhouse invites that I love to give away today. So if you want a Clubhouse invite, just DM me right now on LinkedIn, and I will, add your phone number and invite you in. You'll get it by text message. I don't understand what you mean by how much extra is that. You don't pay to be live on LinkedIn. Abby, you don't do that. So you don't have to pay at all to be live on LinkedIn. You just have to apply, and they have their own process, which I don't understand it. Like they describe it a little bit. I haven't read it much, but it's pretty cool. Joel, good to know. James, Joel also says, what's Clubhouse? So Clubhouse is a new social media platform. It's audio only, no video. None of the audio is recorded. You go into a room, you talk about whatever, and it's the new social media they want to cancel. I'll just tell you that much. And so, but people go into a room, a whole bunch of people, different points of view. I've been in a bunch of like geopolitical rooms. I've been in some, this morning I was on a Shabbat Shalom room with a rabbi talking about the Sabbath and the Jews every Saturday we read a parasha, part of the Torah, part of the Bible. And we're talking about that and listening to some music this morning as I was kind of getting ready to start my day. So I love Clubhouse. It's an audio only platform. That's the beauty of it. There's no video at all. You talk to a bunch of people from all over the world. You kind of join a room and you're able to talk and contribute to a conversation. There's some trolls there, but they've done a really good job with moderating with teaching moderators how to deal with trolls and kind of remove them from the room and whatnot. People can't get really banned on Clubhouse though. So that's a positive. And I know some people are like, well, that's really bad because trolls stick around. Yeah, but it's the idea of a freedom of speech is that even if you disagree with it, and even if people are trolls, there are that. And are there, yeah, there's a bunch of cybersecurity rooms there, Joel. I'm in a bunch of them. I have a few of my own as well. So yeah, absolutely. There are, if you want to be a part of it, Joel, just DM me as long as you've got an iOS device. So they only work on Apple right now. They don't work on Android. And AB says, okay, thank you. I really appreciate the information. Absolutely. That's the beauty of this. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Abby. Do indeed. Shabbat Shalom. And Nora, lovely. Yes. Clubhouse is pretty cool. The dialogue tends to be more respectful when it's your picture and your voice. Than Twitter. Like I've been in rooms on Clubhouse where it's been people who were trolling me on Twitter who are now all of a sudden listening, and they're not saying anything they would reply to on Twitter. I don't know what to say, but Clubhouse is like valued at $1 billion now. It's like the hottest social media network. It's very exclusive, and I think that's why it's really hot. But yeah, AB, it is freedom of speech. It's I don't have to agree with you to want you to be on the platform, and I think that's also one of the problems with Twitter as well was, they kept deplatforming different people, and the rules didn't make any sense, and I'm not going to go one way or another, but when you got specific people on your platform spewing actual hate for years and you do nothing about it, and then you start taking away accounts, it's crazy. Daniel says people need to understand that LinkedIn is and was meant to be professional networking. The minute someone posts aggro political posts, it will alienate half their network. Guaranteed. I've taken a hard stance and will remove and block people that post non-professional content. Yeah, I do the absolute same. I've unfollowed a bunch of people for aggro and political stuff as well. Joel says, I guess I need Apple products. Yes, you do. You do need Apple products. Apple is really stepping up their game, by the way, when it comes to privacy and control of your data. Something to keep an eye on. Like if you care about privacy at all, forget social media for a second. If you care about privacy at all, you have to look at what Apple is doing, because honestly, they're like killing everyone. They're killing everyone. They're going after Facebook. They're going after Twitter. They're going after Google. They're going after YouTube. They're going after all these guys, but they're going after them by saying, our users get to dictate what kind of information you get to see and pull from their phones. And mind you, I do a podcast called Goodbye Privacy. And if you go and look at season number 1 of Goodbye Privacy, I talk about the terms and conditions of social media networks. And what's very interesting on Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, even LinkedIn, your contacts, if you sync your contacts, you actually give them permission to follow that person's phone number, and they can engage and collect data on that person who's got their phone number. Clubhouse does the same, by the way. So like I've got Clubhouse and it looks at your phone contacts. That's how it invites people. And on my phone contacts, all of a sudden I see, so-and-so, they know 160 people on Clubhouse. You should probably invite them because they're missing out on connecting with them. That's a lot of data. And Apple, what they're trying to do is curtail that with the new iOS 14.5 that's about to come out. And Facebook is suing them and so forth. It's interesting. Nora says we can agree to disagree and disagree to agree, but love has to be the foundation of every relationship, either on professional levels or personal levels. Couldn't agree more. And what a great way to segment to the very end. I typically come on, last week I came on for an hour, but unfortunately today I've only got another few seconds to hang out with you guys. So thank you so much for everyone who kind of contributed to today's impromptu chat. And Daniel here says, looking for security-based phones that are not Apple or Android is difficult unless you're willing to sideload a bunch of stuff. Yes, it is. I have a BlackBerry that I've been able to jailbreak and put a different OS on and so forth. And I'll share that. Maybe that's an awesome topic for next time. I do have to sign off, guys. Shabbat Shalom. Have a great weekend. Get some rest. Turn off your phones. Disconnect from Twitter. Take a day off. Enjoy just your family, nature, trees, water, mountains, snow, and just be grateful for what we have, because really at the end of the day, that's all we have is each other, our network, and our friends and our family. So that's it for me, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Really, really, I do appreciate everything you guys do. And thank you for being part of my network and contributing and making me smile on a Friday. Have a great rest of the day, guys. Thank you so much. Bye.
Make sure to subscribe to our podcast and share it with your friends and colleagues. And get all the latest information at cyberhubpodcast.com.